we're going to dig deeper now. Now, we're passing by value and we're passing by reference. And you're getting more comfortable with this passing by reference concept. At least I'm surely hoping you are. Now, one of the things we've got to get used to is our overloading methods, being able to pass methods more than one value or different numbers of values depending on a situation, or accommodating different values. Now, in this example, let's assume we ask a user to enter a number. And when they enter the number, it comes in, when we do our read line, what data type is that? Read line comes in as a data type of a string. Well, what we have to then convert that string into a number. What if my IDE, what if my compiler, my system can't take that number or that string and convert it into a number? What if it's a word? If it's a word, I can't convert it to a number. Well, we've got to do what we call a try parse. And I talked about it before. I said, we'll talk about it later. Now's that later. Now's when we're going to talk about it. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and populate the main block of code for us. It's quite a bit of code. I'll go ahead and get some of this out of the way and give us a little more space to be able to see what it is that we're doing. So, in our main, I've declared some arrays. I've got 4 different arrays: flight numbers, airport codes, airport names, times. I've got a string called request. That's going to be our input from the user. That request, I'm requesting a number. It comes in as a string. I need to convert it to a number. It may or may not work. And we'll see if it works or not. Now, this try parse that we're about to use is very powerful. So try parse. I'm going to talk about line 15 right here, and I'm going to focus on what I've got highlighted. Now, this is a method call, or I'm invoking the try parse method. Now, this try parse is being run specifically to convert, or try to convert, to an integer. I could do double dot try parse, but for this one, I'm trying to take a string, parse each character in the string, and convert it to an integer. I'm going to try. Now, by trying, I'm passing it this first value here, which is request, this string. I'm also passing it flight num. How am I passing flight num? I'm passing it by reference. How am I passing the string request? By value. So I pass it this by value. What it's going to do is, if it works, if it can convert request into an integer, it will return a value of either true or false. True, yeah, I got it. I converted that into a number. Or false, I could not convert that to a number. Not only is it returning that value, but it takes the converted value of request and puts it in this memory location here, flight num for me. So if we come down this next line, output equals, well, output, we've got this value, output, that's what we're going to output. Output equals get flight info, where we're invoking a method, and we're passing it flight numbers, airport codes, airport names, and times. We pass it those values. Values, references. The value in flight num. Well, there is nothing in flight num unless it was able to convert it. So this is only going to get called if that works. But if that did not work, if it could not convert request into an integer, well, that gets us down into this else. And what are we going to do? We're going to call get flight info, and we're not going to pass it flight num. We're going to pass it request. Now, wait a minute. You've got two get flight infos? Yeah, we do. You see them down here. We're going to deal with that in a minute. We'll pass it request, flight numbers, airport codes, airport names, times. So that allows us to handle either case. If it worked, here's the version for it. If it didn't work, here's the version for it. Okay? So let's go add a little bit of code in there for it, and they're both about the same. So I'm going to put some code in here for the get flight info with, I got it the wrong one, and this one. Here's my get flight info with an actual number coming in. It's the actual flight number. Okay, and it's going to search through and try to find my flight number. Now, let's come down and we'll do the next one. Here's the next one. It's about the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to output string saying it was not found. We'll go through. If it does get found, boom, we'll output it. And then we'll return output. So output, we set a default value to output that I couldn't find it. Then we'll go look to see if we did find it. If we did find it, output changes. And then it'll return output. Now when we come up here, output equals, and then we're going to right line output. Okay. Let's go ahead and run it. Please enter a flight number and airport. Let's see, 201. Flight 201, AUS Austin scheduled 7:10. Try it now. Again, enter a flight number, airport code. Yes. Flight to yes was not found. So I entered in a word. Entered in a word, didn't work. So let's run it again and airport code. AUS. Looky here. I didn't enter a number, I entered text. Here's the one for text. When you come down, it's looking and it's comparing in that table that we had, not for the flight number, but for the flight or airport code. Okay. So we can have it handle different things depending on whether I got text, whether I got number, did it find it, did it not find it. Go through and it'll look through each one, and depending on how we write our several methods. Okay? I know it's getting a little more complex, but as it gets more complex, what's happening is our functionality is being enhanced. Because now we've got this try parse. I can check to see, is what I'm being given actually a number? And if it's not, wow, I can tell the user, please enter an actual number instead of just forward. Okay? So this is going to afford us the ability to validate data from our users. And one of the things I say over and over again, don't trust your users. Have the expectation that they are going to give you bad data. They're not going to do what you want them to do. And if that's the case, I have to test them. I've got to check them. I've got to make sure they do what they're supposed to do. It's not trust but verify. It's not until after I've verified that I actually trust when it comes to programming. Okay? So with that said, run our checks. Yes, we did overload it. We got 100%. Okay. We've got more than one method with the same name, taking different values. Okay. And depending on what happened in our try parse, we call different ones. So I'll see you in the next one. 8.3. Doing great.